The Belltech front and rear anti-sway bar kit is perfect for the 2009 to 2018 four-wheel drive Ram 1500 owner who wants to improve their truck's stability and handling. This kit features a pair of adjustable front and rear sway bars that will dramatically improve the way your truck handles corners and loads and allows you to fine-tune the way it responds as well. Now, sway bars are one of my favorite modifications to do to any vehicle, and that's because they can make a seriously dramatic improvement in handling without really any compromise. Now, the goal here is to reduce side-to-side motion and body roll when cornering or when you're hauling a heavy load. When you've got a heavy load behind the truck, sometimes things can get a little bit squirrely. Now, these are both going to be thicker than what you get from the factory, so it will stiffen things up significantly, and it's going to remove a lot of that side-to-side motion. The front bar is 1 3/8 inches in diameter and is two-way adjustable, and the rear bar is 1 1/8 inch in diameter and three-way adjustable. So the adjustability here means that you can dial in exactly how stiff you want these to be. As you move closer to the center of the bar, each setting gets stiffer. So if you want your Ram to turn in and respond more like a sports car, crank them all the way up, bring them to these inner settings right here, or keep them in a softer setting for a nice balance between that and the wallowy stock bars. Now, even in the softest settings though, these are again much thicker, so you are immediately going to notice a difference in the way your truck responds. The moment you turn the wheel, because of that stiffer connection between both sides of the truck, you will start to feel it respond. Likewise, if you're hauling a heavy load and you want more stability, or if you want a little bit more sway control with a trailer behind you, you can ratchet these up to a stiffer setting, and you won't have to saw at the wheel to remain in control of the truck. Now, the kit also includes new polyurethane bushings that are significantly stiffer than your stock rubber bushings too. These will further prevent deflection, again helping you stay in control of your truck, so everything is going to stay nice and stiff underneath there. Both bars are made from cold formed steel and finished in this gray powder coat for additional protection against rust and corrosion. Now, the cold forming is the interesting part here because that means the metal hasn't been heated up and subsequently weakened. Those polyurethane bushings we were talking about a moment ago, again, those are going to be stiffer than your factory rubber bushings, and they are designed to fit the upsized bars perfectly, so these are exactly what you need with this kit. The kit also comes with new brackets to fit those bushings as well, so installation is about as easy as it gets, and we'll talk more about that in a few moments. Pricing comes in at about $675 for this kit, which is a good chunk of change. But if you were to go and try and buy these bars separately, you'd likely end up spending quite a bit more. And for the difference these things can make and how much better it's going to make your truck drive, it really is a small price to pay. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. Now, like I mentioned before, these are bolt-on parts, so you don't need to modify anything on the truck itself, but it can be a little fiddly to get the old ones out and get the new ones installed, especially the one up front. So just budget a bit of extra time and patience, and trust me, you'll be fine. We're also going to walk you through that process step by step right now, so let's head on out to the shop and get right into it.
For this install, you'll need an impact, an 18mm wrench, a 21, an 18, a 16, a 15, and an 8mm socket, a swivel extension, and a normal extension. Today we're going to be installing performance front and rear sway bars on our Ram 1500. Let's get into it. First, we're going to remove the sway bar end link from the sway bar. So to do this, we're going to be using an 18mm socket, an 8mm socket, a socket extension, and an impact. Now, right after you do this one, make sure you do the same thing on the other side. Next, we're going to remove this bolt and take the sway bar out. So just make sure that you have these two bolts undone on the other side of the sway bar. Same thing with the sway bar end links. So after we loosen these two, we can pull it right out. And to do that, I'm going to be using a 15mm socket, a socket extension, and an impact. Now make sure with this last bolt that you do have a hand on the sway bar because it is going to come off. Then we're going to remove the nut on top of the sway link. So to do this, you're going to need a 16mm socket and an impact. Also, something I would like to note, make sure that you do the same thing on the other side. Then we're going to remove these two bolts right here. But before you do it on this side, make sure you do it on the other side first. Reason being, it's just going to make it easier just to pull this thing out. So to loosen them, we're going to be using an 18mm socket and an impact. Also, once we get to the final bolt, make sure that you're supporting it with one hand, so when you take out the bolt, it doesn't come crashing down. Now that you have this bolt removed, take out your sway bar. Now it's time to put on the new upgraded sway bars. So before we do that, we want to make sure we put on all of our bushings. Now, the process for putting on the front bushings is the same as the rear is the same as the front, vice versa. So how you do it, you see how it's split like that? You're going to open it. We'll give you a better view. Just like that. And then we can put our brace on just like that. Now also another thing I would like to mention is you're going to see 2 holes on the front one and you're going to see 3 on the back. So this one is for tow haul, this one's for sport mode. We're going to do it for sport. And same thing in the rear. The middle one is sport, and I'll dive deeper into that when we get on the rear ones. So for the purpose of the front install in the rear, we're going to be putting it in sport, and this one is sport, this hole right here. Next, we're going to put the sway bar onto the car. So I already have it lined up here, but the process is going to be the same as, okay, we just took it off, now we're putting it back on. The mounting hardware is pretty much the same as the old one, it's just not rusty. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna put our bracket on and we're gonna screw in our old hardware. Just like that. And for now, I'm going to put it over the sway link, just like that. So now that we have our sway bar fully supported, I would like to mention I did screw in that side first before putting this side in. That will make it easier for you, especially if you don't have an extra set of hands and it's just yourself in your driveway. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, we're gonna take an 18mm socket and an impact. We're gonna tighten down these 2 bolts. And then after you've seen me tighten down these 2 bolts, you're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Now we're gonna assemble our sway link. So you're gonna take your old bushing washer and nut. We're gonna put it on top of that, but before we do, you're gonna wanna whack this a little bit with a hammer to push it down. So depending on how much of a pain this is, if your fitment's like that, I think what we're gonna do, or I know what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this nut, run it on, just so that this gap closes so it'll fit when we put the bushing on. We'll put that on. We're gonna run that in with a 16mm socket and an impact. Now we have that on there, we can tighten it all down with the 16mm socket and the impact. Then complete the same process on the other side. After that, we're going to install the rear anti-sway bar. So with the rear, you're going to see that there are 3 holes. This one is for towing, this one is for sport, this one's for OEM Plus. We're going to go with the middle one for sport since we have the front set up for sport. So installing this is going to be a little bit easier than the front. We're going to move it over like this. We're going to hook it on that sway link like that. Do the same with this one. And we're going to take 2 bolts and we're going to install them by hand on either side. Also make sure to take your nut. I'm just going to screw it on here just like this. You're going to want to do this same process on the other side. To tighten down these 2 bolts right here, we're going to be using a 15mm socket and an impact. Also make sure to tighten down the 2 bolts on the other side. Then we're going to take an 18mm wrench, an 8mm socket, and an impact. We're going to tighten down this nut right here. I'll do the same process on the other side. Alrighty, that about wraps up this review and install of the Belltech front and rear anti-sway bars for a 2009 to 2018 Ram 1500. Thank you for watching, and remember, for everything Ram 1500, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.